All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Everything Virtual. I am joined by Ronnie. Ronnie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. So it's I woke up late today, so I'm kind of still like a little bit groggy, but
It's a lazy Sunday. I'm feeling it too. So we're on the same page there.
yeah, this is actually live for the first time, right?
Yeah,
So
so guys, we're going live. We're going live on Periscope/Twitter and Twitch. And then this episode, with any type of editing, will be uploaded to YouTube on Monday. So right now, obviously, if you're watching this on recording, what we're trying to get back to, and we spoke about it last episode, is we want to get back to regular game talks, and we want to get back to use episodes on a weekly basis. So we're really trying to enforce this schedule on a Monday, Friday type of thing. So happy Monday for those of you watching on Monday. Ronnie, I'm actually excited. We haven't done a game talk episode in a while.
I know. I was actually like,
some time.
Yeah, when I started preparing for it a little bit, I was like, oh yeah, like this is like I think it's a really useful type of episode for people because it's like kind of bare bones, gets to the important information about the games and gives our impressions, and it's kind of like the meat and potatoes, right?
Yep. So you have two games. I only have one, but
yeah,
I mean, start or I can start.
It's up to you. Like I don't care either. I can start. That's fine.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, because mine are they're not smaller games. One is actually like definitely a more substantial game. The other one's more of an experience. But I thought I'd mention both because I thought they were kind of on the opposite sides of the spectrum a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
The first one is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice VR edition, and for video game players out there, I'm sure they're going to be pretty familiar with Hellblade. It was a really popular game. Came out, I think, a couple of years ago now, probably somewhere either in like 2017 or 2018. I could be wrong, but that was the original release. And and a little while after that, the VR edition came out. And it's a third-person action adventure game, if you want to call it that. But really, the storyline, it's set, I believe, in Norse mythology, and it's a very personal tale of the character that you're playing, who is kind of, I don't want to misspeak about the story. The impression you get when you're playing it is that she's, on this quest, and along the way, she's kind of driven into madness through, like, it's a very, very dark, grim atmosphere that you play this game in. And there's like, I don't know, the camera angles and the way that the sound especially plays off of the visuals.
Yeah.
It's very, like, very dark and, kind of it's a very grim type of game. And
okay. but you're not selling it well here.
No, but this is like, I mean,
I'm just kidding. I'll give you a hard time.
Yeah, so for people that have played it, like, that's what it's going for. That's, I mean, kind of think about like a movie or a book or something that is set out to kind of put you into this mood, right? And this, like, it's supposed to be a dark movie. Like, these are things that would be, it really gets you there. So like this game really makes you feel something and makes you feel, I've heard people describe it as a very, very, like a game that tackles mental illness quite well. Like, it really shows you kind of like the interplaying of voices and kind of so anyways, so needless to say, a lot of people out there will probably, if they know what this game is, then they kind of know what I'm talking about. And if they don't, it's definitely something, if you go and view some quick videos on YouTube or something of the game, you'll be able to kind of understand right away kind of what type of a game it is. There is combat, there is like environmental puzzles. You are going from point A to point B, and there's boss battles in it. Like, in some ways it's kind of a pretty traditional game, but then just with the atmosphere and the storytelling, I think that's what really separates it. And then in addition to that, the environmental puzzles are really cool. Like, you kind of look for different shapes of these glyphs in the levels, but a lot of times they'll be formed by, like, looking at the environment from a certain angle. Like, maybe the glyph is, I don't know, like a triangular glyph with like a cross through it. So you might, so in order to find that glyph in the environment, you might have to like duck down and look at it from a certain angle to where like, you know, this board and this in a tree and like a rock line up together just right to where it makes that shape. And then
so, is this would you categorize this then as more of a puzzle solving type of game?
No, because it's 50-50, I'd say. Like it's because the puzzle solving aspect of it is usually just to move, like usually there'll be like a locked door with a glyph on it. Okay. And in order to get the door unlocked, you have to go and find this environment. So it's so that does play, like, I mean, you're doing that quite a bit, but then equally there's sections where you're fighting enemies and bosses and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like half and half. But it's I want to say, I mean, for people, I'm talking about the VR version. This is a third-person action game, meaning the character that you're playing is in your view. So it's not, you're not seeing through the eyes of the character. You actually see. So it's more of a traditional game in that sense. Yeah. And in VR, so like, you know, long story short, this game came out as a traditional game, just one that you play with an Xbox controller. And I still play with an Xbox controller now when I'm sitting down with my VR headset on. But they eventually, the team Ninja Theory, who released this game to a lot of critical acclaim, afterwards they eventually released a VR version of it. And for those who bought it on Steam, you get the VR version free. Like, it's a separate download. You have to install it separately. Yeah. But you get it automatically. It's part of the package. So if you buy the original game for $30, you get both the normal version that you can play on your TV or computer monitor, and then you get the VR edition, which you load that one up and you play in the headset. And it's the same game. It's just one works for VR and one doesn't. Okay. And this game in particular is, so in general, I think I like the idea of third-person action games in VR because it's kind of cool to see the character in 3D and to see the environment in 3D, and your vision is kind of more like the camera. Yeah. So
I was going to ask, because I don't think I've played lot of games like that.
Yeah. There's only a few. There's really only a few. Like, I remember early on when the Oculus Rift initially came out, there were a couple games at launch that were kind of like that. There was like Lucky's Tale, which was like kind of like Mario, but it was a platformer game. And there was also I'm trying to think of the names now. There were a couple of kind of like more AA or AAA type third-person action games that were Oculus exclusives that came out around launch, and they're pretty cool. But yeah, this game in particular, it's a really good game on its own. But then because of all these psychological kind of twisting with your mind's view, and you know, all these weird audio cues and stuff, like there's a lot of whispering and from right ear to left ear and kind of that sort of thing while you're playing the game. And it goes with the storyline. And I think those things lend itself to being a really immersive VR title. Like, you really get into it. So that's why, like, this game in particular is really cool in VR. And I think they did a really good job of bringing it to VR. There are some setbacks. I mean, I still think because you're more the camera and not the character, I think for some people it's possible that they'll get a little nauseous. This is
the game, right?
Yeah, this is the game.
Oh, cool. So we can actually load this up while we're talking about it.
No, this is awesome. I like this. So, so this helps me quite a bit, though, to explain. So while you're playing the actual game, it's always that back of the shoulder view. These are more cutscene cinematic type things. Okay. And like I said, for some people, especially if you don't have a strong enough PC to handle it, you know, it might be a little bit hard to run. You don't want to get sick or anything like that. But now when I upgraded my computer, it ran it great. And I was really like, it really sucks you in. It's much more. I played through the game on a 2D monitor before trying it in VR. And I can say that already I feel like it's much more immersive and much scarier. Actually, there's certain parts of it that like really kind of hit you a different way when you're playing it in VR. But like, you know,
even though it's not first person, you still have like jump scares.
Yeah, not jump scares. It's more like just creepy. Yeah, just like unsettling imagery, like the imagery, because it's that much more, you know, like in your face and you're much more realistic looking, because it's tangible. I don't know. Like I said, there's downsides to bringing these types of games into VR too. Like some of the the LOD pop in like of the graphics, like when you're walking around, like any kind of little glitching in the graphics and stuff. Yeah, you notice it a little bit more because you're in VR, it's in your face versus like on a TV. But they're minor quips. Like the game is beautiful. And
yeah, I'm just the graphics that I'm seeing here look awesome so far.
Yeah, and I mean, and yeah, the only other thing I should mention is, you know, when it goes into cutscenes. So in the normal game, almost all the cutscenes, if not all the cutscenes, it's kind of like a very seamless transition from playing to going to the cutscenes. So the ones that are in engine that are being rendered by your computer, those are still in 3D. But anytime it's like a video that is actually playing, they have to make it into kind of like a big screen type thing where it'll go from gameplay to showing you like it does a good job of kind of zooming in and then cutting it and making it like a screen. But that's just something to be aware of. But I mean, there's no downside. At first, I was kind of worried, man, would I recommend only playing the VR version? Probably not. But at the same time, you get this as part of the package. And I do really think that it's a compelling way to play the game. And I think for some people, they're going to prefer the VR version head and shoulders above the traditional version. So I think the fact that you get, you know, you get them both together for the same price is like, it's a no, it's, I more wanted to bring this up to tell people that it is a great VR experience for people that have systems capable enough of pushing it well. And if you already have Hellblade, or if you haven't jumped into this game yet and are interested, it's definitely worth getting. And if you don't end up wanting to play it all in VR, then you can just play it, you know, traditionally as well. Because either way, it's a really great experience. And yeah, I just want more and more people to know that the VR version's out there for more people to play it, because Hellblade 2 was announced a few months ago, I guess. The team that made this, Ninja Theory, which has made a lot of other great games as well, they were purchased by Microsoft.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So technically Hellblade 2, I mean, right now, I think it's going to be PC and Xbox Series X, which is going to be, you know, their next Xbox.
Is there any word on a VR version?
That's what I don't know as of right now, but that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think that Microsoft is the kind of company that would necessarily prevent the team from, you know, bringing it to VR on PC.
I mean, Microsoft has its toes dipped in the XR space, so
exactly. So even if it's not on the Xbox yet, like in the PC side of things, which they're very much supporting both platforms. So
yeah,
it would be awesome. Yeah, so I think the more people that see this and, you know, play it, potentially give it reviews and whatnot, that could make it more likely for the next iteration in the series to also come to VR. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
You had another quick game you wanted to mention?
Yeah, the other one I just wanted to. Yeah, it's kind of almost like the opposite. It's called Perfect, and I actually got a key from the developer for this one. Just like full disclosure, it's $9.99 on the store.
I can't find it.
Yeah, I was having a hard time finding it too, actually, when I searched for it. So, but I mean, when I clicked on the game and went to store page, it does have a store page. So when I searched for it, I was having a hard time too. So I don't know. Maybe it's not. But when I went to the store page on mine, it clearly listed it for $9.99. Okay. It's called Perfect by End Dreams. And to be honest with you, I mean, I'm not sure that I would recommend it for $9.99.
Okay.
It's
that's fine. I don't need to get the shared.
Like it's a game where there's I think 3 or 4 different environments that you get, and the idea is that you're supposed to just be able to go there and just hang out and relax. Like they're all very scenic.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay. So one of them is like a beach area. The other place is like mountains. One of them is you can see the aurora borealis like in the background. Like they're just, you know, very like pretty scenic environments that have really like natural ambient sound to them, and you can kind of just hang out. Like I said, for $9.99, I wouldn't probably buy it because there's not a whole lot to it. the environments are beautiful. They're very pretty, and I do think that the sound design is pretty good too, as far as just like the ambiance and all of that stuff. But there's just not much to do in it. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I like the idea of there being kind of these like more relaxed, chill type of VR experiences. Maybe if there was a little bit more to the game or more environments, then it'd be easier to recommend. And I know that there's some other games out there like Nature Trek VR, which I haven't had a chance to really try. Like,
there's a lot on Oculus too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nature Trek, I know.
Yeah,
Nature Trek, I think is available on the Quest. I mean, the problem with the Quest is that it's not as capable as a PC graphics wise.
Yeah.
So sometimes like these types of experiences where you want to look at pretty vistas run better on the PC. But I mean, yeah, in general, I think it's a really cool. It's a cool genre. Like I want to explore that a little bit more, just to see if I can find something, especially now with, you know, having to, for a lot of folks, stay indoors so much more. It's nice to kind of find
travel
something
virtually.
Yeah, like I dabbled in some of the fishing games before, and those are actually it's kind of similar. They give you something to do because from a game perspective, catch different fish, and like a lot of them will try to you'll have to, you know, buy certain lures, and like it'll have kind of a gamey element to it.
Yeah, but it's just nice to go and kind of relax in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can see.
Man, you know what will be perfect? Those games should be multiplayer.
See,
then you can go in there and just kind of hang out with someone. You know what I mean? And just,
100%.
And then this is actually what fishing is, right? Most people just go fishing to just hang for the day.
Because that's what I was gonna. So yeah, multiplayer is a great way to expand on like what you're. Because then you can just chill and hang out and stuff, and it's a good environment to do that. I just think that if there isn't a huge market for this type of thing now, I could see in the future where, like, you know, opening up your mind to the possibilities a little bit. If you could bring things in with you, like if I was able to work in an environment like that, I would. Like if like let's say the headset,
your virtual desk there,
let's say that your headset, like in the future, let's say VR headsets are much lighter and less cumbersome, and you just can stick it on, and let's say you can access your laptop or your work devices as seamlessly as you can now. How awesome would it be if you could kind of like Zoom calls with virtual backgrounds actually be in a real virtual background and just like hang out? Like right now, there's tons of limitations on it. It's not super practical to like do stuff in it. But if you could do stuff in it, I could see it being really, really cool. So that's just why I just wanted to bring up the idea and kind of, you know,
I feel
talk
like
about it.
I'll see if I can check it out. But I feel like there's a bunch of different types of experiences like that, because it's not necessarily a game, right? So just
that's what, and that's what, like I said, this one in particular, like it looks great, and I love Endreams, the developer. They've made a lot of great games. Like Shooty Fruity was one of them. They're working on. I'm trying to think what the. I think they're working on. I don't know. They're working on a bunch of stuff. They did Free Diver, which is a really cool game. So in general, they're a really good developer. So this game is kind of a little bit on the smaller scale. Like I think for the price, you would want a little bit more content there. But there are other types of experiences like that out there. So just wanted to put it on people's radar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, those are two fun ones. I'm actually curious. I want to check out more of Hellblade when I have a chance.
Yeah.
We actually talked about this during the news episode that we did on Friday. But my game is Echo VR. Actually had a chance to jump into it. Now this is an open beta. It's free. And I believe, actually, let me see if I can share. Is that coming through?
Yeah.
Boom. There you go. Okay. So this is on the Oculus Store, and I'm going to just play this video on mute so people can kind of see what I'm talking about. But this is essentially, it's Ultimate Frisbee in zero gravity VR. And yeah, that's just as cool as it sounds. I very much enjoyed it. It took me back. Do you remember all the hype from Smashbox Arena maybe 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, I do.
Like the competitive action of it was a lot of fun. Like I was like in there moving around. Now, the thing is there's a lot that I still need to explore. Like, I mean, I'm seeing guns and stuff in here. So there's a lot that I think that you can do in the game. Now I've done a couple of matches. I went through the tutorial, which was a little long in my opinion, but I think it's probably, I probably felt that it was long just because I'm comfortable in VR and I've played a ton of different games. So I can understand that they want to be thorough with different movement capabilities, how to start, stop. Because again, you're in zero gravity, right? So think, did you ever play Climby?
Yeah. And
okay.
I have had a chance to play it a little bit. So I do.
Oh, you did?
But like,
okay.
yeah, but for listeners out there that don't know much about it.
Similar to Climby, like you can grab onto any surface and then use that to kind of propel you. But in Climby, you could just kind of use that as a way to launch yourself or to jump. Here, you're in zero gravity, right? So like you push yourself off a surface and you're going to keep going in that direction as long as until something stops you.
Yeah.
Now you also have thrusters. There's a bunch of different other elements, like a boost and a break. But the goal really is to get, I believe it's up to 5-on-5, at least in the games that I played, where you have a frisbee, you're tossing it, and it's just ultimate frisbee. You're trying to score. So different than ultimate frisbee, it's not like you're trying to get the frisbee to one side. There's actually a goal you need to throw it into. So there's an element of having goalies, right? Somebody who's like standing in front of the goal, which is about the size of the person or your avatar. So needing to kind of block a diamond shaped goal. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot to love about it just from a competitive standpoint. Being in there, doing a lot of different things. One of the fun things too that I did not expect, and I feel like there's a lot more that we would probably want to explore with this, and maybe even do a full episode review at some point once we've spent more significant time in there. But just off the bat, certain things that you can do is you can actually punch people in the head.
Yeah,
that stuns them. So you punch them. You can punch them in the head, or if they're trying to punch you, you can actually put your fists up and block like this,
that's cool.
and that will stun them in return if you can block on time.
That's cool.
So the thing is, like, I in the games that I was playing, just because I was trying to get my legs under me, or not my legs, but just kind of get my bearings of what the game was about. I wasn't really focused on scoring. I was trying to be a team player and just go around and stun people. So while everybody, my teammates and the opponents were chasing the frisbee, I was going around just trying to stun the people and take those angles. You know what I mean? From a competitive standpoint, take those angles to be like, okay, he's not focused on me. He's trying to outrace my teammate.
Dude, if you think about it in football, I mean,
So
you're taking people out.
So I after the games, I kept getting they have different awards there, right? Like MVP for whoever scores the most, but I kept getting the Bruiser Award because I had the most amount of stuns after every single game.
That's awesome.
So yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. It was a ton of fun. If you have an Oculus Quest, the beta is free. You can actually see it right there on the screen. It is free right now, so there is absolutely no reason not to get it and jump into it. The one thing I will say, and this is not exclusive to Echo VR. I think this is an issue that has been around VR for a long time, but sometimes you're going to get some weird random people in there, and I did too, right? So like it's just kind of putting that out there as full disclosure. Just weird people probably doing some inappropriate things in VR. And I know Rec Room struggled with this a while ago. I know there's several other games that had to put in places. So there are and I'm bringing that up to mention that there are ways that you can do this, where you can mute players or you can ghost players and make them disappear. But with the player base probably still being at a level where it's still growing, you're gonna run into some weird people. But from the standpoint of, man, if we had this, or if I was playing this game with 9 other people that I knew well, God, like it's so much fun, man. Like it's actually a really, really great game. And again, I there's so much more to dig into it, and I plan on doing so. Just from a, like, almost not really working out, but like it was just, I enjoyed it. Like, it gets your heart rate going, like you're kind of moving around. Like there's definitely competitive nature to it. And so I really enjoyed the game. I cannot recommend it enough. And the fact that it's got over 4,000 ratings right now, and it's
great. It's
100% free.
Yeah, it came out pretty recently, honestly. So to have that many people reviewing it is pretty insane in my opinion. And I mean, like you were saying before, like I think this game was on PC, but to bring it to the Quest is like a complete game changer, because it's so easy for everyone to be able to get access to it. Like it's like you were saying, like being able to play with your friends in a game like this is huge. And with Quest, that makes it much more likely that you're able to do that either now or in the future with people picking up the headset. So
I mean, so the thing is, like, you know, we talk about different types of competitive games and sports in just gaming in general, but I think within VR, this is something that, you know, and I hope it doesn't go the way of previous games that we've been really excited about, where the player base disappears after a little while.
sure.
You know, I think that there's a lot that can be done with a game like this. It's very physically competitive. There's a lot of different elements that can go into the rules and all that. And so, I don't know.
It has a ton of momentum right now. So I think if anything is like, I mean, really, I've been hearing about it from a lot of people. Everyone that has tried it is like falls in love with it. So yeah, I'm excited to jump in. I did the tutorial. So I haven't actually jumped into the Quest game yet. You should play
a game. I think if anything, you would understand so much more why I'm so excited about it.
Like back when Lone Echo came out on the Rift, which is the single player game that it's based off of. Like I played a lot of that, and I played like a little bit of the multiplayer stuff as well when it was on the Rift S. So like, or the Rift. So I have an idea, but man, like I've heard the Quest just like really opens it up and really like. I've heard it's
actually really great.
That's what.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I jumped out of it yesterday, or jumped into it yesterday, and as soon as I came out, I was like, yeah, this is a game that I would easily go back into. Now, like I was saying before, you know, I think if you go in there and play with a bunch of randos, it's hit or miss. But you know, this is a type of game that I'm hoping. You know, we talk about the timeline for VR. You know, I hope that this is a game that's still relevant in 5 years when, you know, 15 of my friends or 9 other of my friends have headsets, right? And we're able to jump into games like this or similar to this because, you know, like it's funny because I was big into team sports growing up, right? Like I used to play basketball every single day. That's why my knees are crap right now. But like, to be able to do something like this with all the guys who are now old and broken like me, but be able to get in and do something competitive like that with everybody at home,
that's awesome.
With their, you know, with their families or whatever the case is, like to be able to do something like that, this is what has me excited for VR because I can get, you know, once that player base really starts building up and it seems like it is, I just think that there's so much potential for a game like this.
What makes me excited about like the fact that people are loving this game so much. Like, even if Echo VR itself isn't out in 5 years, like, who knows? Hopefully it is. Even if it isn't, the fact that this concept, like, someone developed it and it's awesome and people that play it love it, tells me that when people do have headsets that you will be able to play a game like this with your friends.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this idea, like, if someone strikes gold, like, that it's not going to disappear. You know what I mean? So that's exciting to think that there's going to be a time in the future where everybody has some kind of, be it like Apple glasses or like, who knows, like whatever the method is that we're, you know, in 5 to 10 years from now, we're all going to be jumping into some AR, VR, whatever. We're going to be able to get in with our friends and play like a competitive sport title that's like Ultimate Frisbee and just like go all out, even though we're all old. And have a blast.
No, you know, and I think you're putting a nice end cap on this in the sense that it's nice to see games like this that are as good and polished as they are right now because exactly 100%. Once people have headsets, and we've seen a huge uptick where it's like almost impossible to get a Rift, right? Like once we start seeing this uptick in the amount of headsets, the player base increases, the amount of people within your network increases, you're able to jump into games with people. I think like there's just so much potential with it. And so like it may not be Echo VR in the future. I hope it is, just because I think you did a great job. But games like this, I think, will be what, at least for me, and I'm sure many other folks, will be what people really jump into as a social experience. Whether we're living in a socially distant world or as just before, with people kind of living all across the world.
Yeah. And no, and I mean, looking to the future is always fun, but like can't stress enough though, like what you're talking about and what's getting you this excited is out right now. Like if you can get your hand on a headset, you can experience something like this now, which is incredible.
Yeah. And I think that was the tough thing with a game like Smashbox Arena to bring up an old wound, but I love that game. But it was one of those things where it was a little bit ahead of its time in the sense that not everybody could drop $2,000 on a headset and a computer, whereas now for $400, it's an untethered experience. The game plays fantastically well. I haven't had any issues with it, and it'll only continue to get cheaper and better from here on out.
I wonder, like, I haven't looked into this at all. I wonder if there would be any way that Smashbox could eventually get a re-release on the Quest.
I was just thinking. I mean, I don't know how the studio is doing now. And
that's what I mean.
But here's I don't, and I'm not trying to get anybody into legal trouble, but there's an idea there. That game was hot for a quick second, right? So like, if somebody creates something similar to that with a almost, they dubbed it as dodgeball, but if they can create something similar to that, I think that there's a lot of potential with it still. So, and granted, there's, I had the chance to jump into Rec Room yesterday as well after a very long time. So doing a game like paintball on Rec Room, which is still exactly the same, right? And there's a certain charm to that, but I feel like games will continue to innovate and get better. And I think if somebody can take the competitive games from several years ago and kind of recreate them for Quest, there's a lot of potential there, at least for me.
Yeah, no, and all of this reminds me of the potential of something like Facebook Horizons, something that can make it easy for people that are friends to get into games together. Because, like, I know for me, like, from what it sounds like, you can easily create like custom games just for you and your friends, and Echo VR and all that stuff. Even for someone like me who uses VR a lot but doesn't, get in with a lot of friends per se. Like, it's still a little bit daunting to me to know whether or not a game supports multiplayer, whether it's going to be easy for me to create it'll be really, really, really nice to have some kind of a system that ensures that all of that is smooth and easy, and that I can, like, if a game supports multiplayer, I can jump into it with my friends super easy. Like, I can't wait for a system like that to be here, and it sounds like Horizon's is going to be that.
Well, if it is as streamlined as we feel like it will be, then 100%, because if you can go in and through your Facebook Horizons, you have all your friends kind of picked out already, and you just like check them off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then boom, like go straight into the game rather than like, hey, everybody meet in lobby KL53. You know what I mean? That's the type of streamlining that I would like to see, and hopefully work with.
No, imagine how amazing it would be if it was just like, instead of us having to coordinate when we want to do like an online session together, if it's just like we just both throw on our quests and I just see you in there, and then we figure out what we feel like playing, and then we just jump into it. Yep. I mean,
for sure, man.
So anyways, that's exciting stuff though.
We can dream.
Yeah. I mean, people are working on this stuff. So that's what my nephew recently just got a Quest completely separate from me. Like, literally, his mom was just like randomly asking me, so that I think she said something like, so that Google headset, the Quest or whatever. And I was like, you mean Oculus, right? She's like, yeah. Like, is it really good? Like, is it not? Because she knows I'm the VR guy, right? And I explained to her all about it. I'm sure I've showed them the Quest at some point, and she just wasn't putting 2 and 2 together. But yeah, she was, secretly trying to find a headset and all of that for her son's birthday. And yeah, like, they've been playing that thing nonstop. So
the price point on the Quest right now is unbeatable, in my opinion. For anybody who plays video games, this is something that it's affordable. And again, I'm not trying to be insensitive for especially during the times that we're living in now. Yeah. But you look at how widespread consoles are and the pricing of consoles, and I would say that the Quest is very competitive to that. And the prices of games are even more competitive. Right?
Yeah. So. And the fact that the fact that what's it called? I was gonna say. Oh, the different genres of games. There's so many different types of games within each genre now available. Yeah. Like, it's not like we're at a point where anyone's going to have trouble finding content, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. Now's just as good a time. Like, yeah, there have been times in the past, like, it reminds me Oculus Connect 6 when I was there last time. I think their big mantra that year was the future is now, kind of thing. Like VR is now. I'm trying to remember what the exact headline was, but essentially, like, we always are so concerned about waiting for the next big thing, especially in VR. But really, like, right now, we have a lot to enjoy and a lot to experience.
Yeah.
And so that's, it's easy to recommend to people if they're at all interested. Like, yeah, get a headset. You'll be able to find something.
For sure. Cool, Matt. Well, this was fun. It's fun to finally do a Game Talk episode after so long.
I know.
Well, we'll be back with it next week, guys, with more Game Talk and a news episode first, and then Game Talk. And yeah, if you guys have any recommendations, we are playing a lot right now just because we're stuck in quarantine. So definitely hit us up on Twitter or YouTube or wherever you guys are listening. And yeah, have a great week. We'll talk to you guys soon.